Women in other countries like South America, because they're taught at a young age to learn how to cook, that is something that is a part of like the day-to-day routine. So the biggest comparison to over here is that women lack that, and not a lot of women know how to cook here. A lot of women over here are overweight and they don't take care of themselves. They don't work out. They don't really care about their body and any of that. So one of the biggest things is like women over there don't eat out. They don't eat processed food because they know how to cook. They cook. So they're eating home cooked meals, which means they look better. They take care of their bodies better. They care about how they look because, I mean, if you're in shape, then you want to maintain that. If you're already eating out all the time, eating whatever it is, Popeyes, anything over here, then you're just going to keep fueling the fire. As you keep going, you're not going to care about going to the gym.
Let's talk about why an increasing number of Western men are seeking foreign women. This Latina shares her views of the perception people have of foreign women and talks about how women in other countries are raised differently with feminine values and traits. She talks about how women in other countries, such as hers, are taught how to cook from an early age, and they're involved in creating healthy recipes for their families. This, in turn, helps them seek a healthier diet and avoid processed junk food that can make them unhealthy and fat. She says that Western women tend to eat processed junk food, making them obese. We all know the rising obesity levels in the United States, and I guess this is part of the reason Western women are much more likely to gain more weight as compared to South American women who live and thrive on healthy home-cooked meals made with fresh vegetables and meat. South American women are also prone to getting more exercise done compared to Western American women. So, it's no wonder Western men are looking elsewhere and seeing beauty where it thrives. Not only do they seek beautiful women they can find in other countries, but they're also looking for women with traditional values and healthy standards of life and living. And it really does make sense for them to look elsewhere. I mean, imagine looking around you and seeing the same sort of women with the same sort of ideas and tendencies about dating and relationships, health, life, exercise, family values, and looking at life in general. Imagine how frustrating it would be for Western men to constantly be disrespected by women who are incredibly entitled and want guys around them to live their whole lives orbiting around them. If you were in this situation, you'd look elsewhere too, because you know there are good women in the rest of the world who know how to respect their men and who know how to live a healthy life. These women are feminine and don't try to create fissures between a man and a woman by doing things they expect their men to do. They know their place in a partnership, and they fully expect their men to play their part as well. They're not pushovers as Western media would have you thinking. In the West, men are constantly facing mind games to prove their worth to women, just so they can take a ride with successful men and then dump them off for another. However, there are men who understand this, but most don't. Men who go abroad seem to have a better chance of winning this game because financially unstable women don't have the luxury to play these games. It's very important to understand that women in foreign countries aren't playing these games as much because their circumstances don't allow them to. The moment they're in a developed country, their thinking starts to change. Just be warned. What's clear to me is that Western society is lost and confused. The family unit has been destroyed because there's no concept of a family left anymore. I mean, Canada has a divorce rate of around 60%. I don't blame the men and women for this. I blame our society and the lack of a family culture. It's very clear to me that women in the West need to do something and reflect on why more and more men are leaving for more traditional societies and women in the East or in the South, instead of raging and fuming at them, like the woman in the clip at the beginning of the video. Women need to realize that men will travel the world and find someone they like. So, if they keep on disrespecting men and taking them for granted, it's only going to make more of them leave. Men are now heading to countries in search of feminine women. Also, keep in mind that there are relatively few overweight women in South America. Even a somewhat feminized male from the West will likely appear more macho than many Latin men over there. Therefore, women will find such men appealing. When you consider their financial level and resources, it's simple to see why guys travel to such places. Western men and women are more desirable around the world, not only because of the better economic conditions that they live in, but also because of the color of their skin, which is more desirable in most parts of the globe. From South America and Africa to Southeast Asia and the Middle East, people like Western men and women because white skin is prized above brown or black skin. That's just a harsh reality we have to agree to disagree with, I guess. But you can't blame either side, because part of the reason this is our history, and especially popular culture and media narratives, which have always shown white people to be heroes, and people from other cultures, countries, and backgrounds to be villains. This is one of the best examples of how media can brainwash large numbers of populations around the world. Today, Western men are going to other countries for love and marriage, and women in those countries are accepting these men because they're more financially stable, have a stronger worldview, and are a way to enhance their own social values and the lives of their children. In return for all of this, Eastern women are genuinely more traditional and end up making their Western partners happier than Latin women ever have. From not being raised and taught how to cook to being obese, not working out, eating processed junk food, and not really taking care of their bodies or how they look, Western women are seriously lagging behind, and it's not looking good for their collective SMV in the eyes of men around the world. On top of that, they're entitled, anti-male, and expect men to live their lives worshiping them without even giving them a reason to. Also, if you browse through and understand Western media, you will notice a bias against anything that's pro-East or pro-South. For example, you will constantly hear men and women talking about passport bros as if it was a scam or a shady deal. You will hear them say things like passport bros are a bunch of losers who go to foreign countries to search for submissive and young women for them to dominate. They'll even say things like passport bros are guys who hunt young girls to satisfy their fetishes. I mean, you can clearly see through the propaganda if you open your eyes and see unqualified people talk about something they haven't even verified or seen themselves. Western men have every right to look for women elsewhere because the women around them are not worth being with in the first place. That's the bitter, harsh, and brutal reality modern women need to face and come to terms with. They need to understand that they have to change their ways because sooner or later, they won't have any men looking for them, which will eventually make them the second or third choice for men. I don't think that's something modern women would want. In fact, if Western women keep going out their ways, they'll soon be labeled as undateable. Now that is something that will further make them angry and create more bias against passport bros and women from other countries. However, we all know the truth now, and we can see modern women for who they really are. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. And let us know your thoughts on this in the comments. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.